We begin today with the inflationary scourge hitting the United States. The war in Ukraine has, of course, triggered price rises worldwide, but now economists are predicting the growing likelihood that a recession will hit the United States within the next 12 to 18 months. More than 60% of CEOs surveyed by the Wall Street Journal last week said they expect the country will enter a recession. That means they think there will be 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth within the next year and a half. They cited a variety of reasons for that viewpoint, including higher borrowing costs, a blistering existing pace of inflation, supply chain problems, and the global rise in commodity prices. A separate poll of 53 economists conducted this month after the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates here in order to fight inflation showed that many expect unemployment will rise as the Fed continues to raise interest rates. They forecast unemployment rising from 3.75% at the end of this year to 4.2% by the end of 2023. Economists still expect the economy to grow for the rest of this year, but they have slashed their growth projections. On average, they see GDP rising only 1.3% in the fourth quarter. Recent data suggests the US economy is starting to slow down under the combined weight of soaring inflation and climbing interest rates. Mortgage rates are also at the highest level they've been since the year 2008. Despite the gloomy projections, the US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen echoed President Biden on Sunday, insisting that recession in the US is not inevitable.
I expect the economy to slow. It's been growing at a very rapid rate as the labor market has recovered and we have reached full employment. It's natural now that we expect a transition to steady and stable growth. But I don't think a recession is at all inevitable. Chair Powell, clearly inflation is unacceptably high. It's President Biden's top priority to bring it down. And Chair Powell has said that his goal is to bring inflation down while maintaining a strong labor market. That's going to take skill and luck, but I believe it's possible. I don't think a recession is inevitable.
So to dig into all of this a little bit more, I'm joined by my colleague Susan Tehrani, WION's correspondent in New York. She's live for us in the Big Apple. Susan, let me see if I've got this right. The President of the United States and his Treasury Secretary, both of whom a year ago batted away suggestions that inflation was going to be a substantial problem for the United States, now both say a recession is not inevitable, even though a growing number of CEOs and economists think that it is?
Right, Simon, it reminds me of the time when they said that inflation was going to be transitory, and here we are right now, many months later. Time and again, this administration has been trying to change the narrative on the economic problems that it has. And time and again, the American people have been very honest with the Biden administration, reflecting their frustration in poll after poll, saying that they're frustrated, they want to see a change in policy. But the administration continues to say, basically gaslighting the American people, and also now these CEOs that you mentioned. The 60% CEOs that now say that a recession is expected in the next 12 to 18 months. They say it's first due to higher energy prices. That's a particular concern, but it's also due to transportation costs. It's making it more expensive to produce goods. But these same executives, when they were polled back in January, only 18% of them said that a recession is inevitable. So it's a high priority, it's a high concern, not only among even people within the Biden administration's own party, not in his own administration, but among executives on Wall Street. And of course, American people are seeing it with their own eyes. So yes, it's very hard to sort of put these pieces together. And I think ultimately this administration has to come clean with the American people.
Susan, to be fair to the administration and to the Federal Reserve, interest rates are a pretty blunt instrument to try and use to deal with inflation. I mean, there aren't more precise instruments available to them. We've seen a 0.75 percentage point rise this month, suggestions that there might be a similar rise in interest rates next month. I mean, one of the downsides of all of that is that it's going to pour a bucket of cold water on the housing market, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, anyone who wants to get a loan on a house, even a car, or anyone with a credit card is going to be affected one way or the other. Jerome Powell said regarding the housing market, because it's so highly, quote unquote, valued, it needs a reset, even signifying that if a recession would be underway, perhaps the housing market would see that kind of reset. I'm going to wait for this truck to pass by. However, you know, it's going to be impossible for anyone, at least a first-time home buyer, with these high interest rates to go out and try to get a loan to buy a house at this point. Jerome Powell says that he's optimistic that by raising these interest rates, ultimately by the end of the year, you know, that reset will happen. However, analysts at Moody's are saying that, you know, if a recession does come, 5% decline in U.S. home prices, a 15% to 20% decline in significantly, quote unquote, overvalued housing prices. So you have, you know, the high interest rates on the one hand, and then you have the recession playing into the housing market hand in hand on the other.
Tough times ahead. Susan Tehrani, live for us in New York.